Okay, can everyone see my screen now? Perfect. Okay, we'll make a start now. Thank you so much for joining us today here on our webinar about search. We're looking at what's new in Mercury Search. Hopefully you recognise me by now, most of you. I'm Jackie Sherlock. I'm the Product Marketing Manager here at Mercury, and I am joined by the wonderful and very, very knowledgeable Michelle O'Hare today, who is going to be giving us a demo of the lovely new features that have come about in search over the last 12 months or so. So just as a bit of a context of why we decided to do this session now, new Mercury Search has been available for about a year now, which seems crazy that it's been that long really. And what I wanted to do was just kind of ground us in where we have come from. So Search still has a dedicated team looking after it. It was developed for a year with feedback from customers. We are still actively developing it all the time to give you a faster and more intuitive and a better search experience, which hopefully you're going to see today. We've also got some sneak peeks of some new things that other people haven't seen yet, so I'm excited to share those with you. And I really wanted to emphasize as well this iterative deployment approach that we have. So every 2 weeks we have the opportunity of sharing new things in search with you. It doesn't mean that there will be every 2 weeks new features, but we have that opportunity to share those with you. And Michelle, when you do your demo, can you just point out the what's new menu bit so that people can see where they can keep up to date with what's happening? That would be lovely. Thank you.
Sure.
And I just wanted to say that we haven't stopped developing in that 12 months. And these are the aims that we go by when we're developing. We want to give you a really simple search experience. We want you to have that holistic view of the candidate or the client or the vacancy. So you've got as much detail as possible in one view without having to go between records. And you can make those decisions on hiring, shortlisting much, much faster. With the AI tools that we've got within search, it also lets you search more and search deeper. So we've got really smart search functionality built into there, not just with the AI, but with the filters that we have as well, with our Boolean that we have, really, really deep searching within your databases. And what we also want to be able to do is enable you to take action directly from your search results. So again, it's about cutting down those changes in screen, cutting down the records that you need to have open and giving you a really easy experience. So with that said, I am going to pass you over to Michelle, who is going to go through some of those features that have been developed over the last 12 months that you might not have seen or you might be using, but she's just going to give us a bit of a masterclass in how it's done. Over to you, Michelle.
Thank you, Jackie. Feel free to be jumping in and telling me little bits you want to add as you go. I'm sure you will. But yeah, guys, we're really excited to show you some things that are either new to you or you may not see as much of. So where we're going to start is actually with our vacancy search. Okay, so I'm going to give you a couple of examples in each scenario in vacancy, then candidate. So let's go with the first one. So we've got a candidate up here who I've worked with in the past, and that candidate has got in touch because they're now looking for a new role. Okay. So, of course, I know this candidate well. There may be a role that I've got in flight at the moment that I can run through, can go through the JD, see if they're right for that role. Maybe if I don't have anything going or it's not quite right, I could reach out to my team, of course, to see what they've got as well. But ultimately, the idea is that I know a lot of you go into kind of vacancies menu, and it might be that you then start to type and filter by the job title to find similar roles that you can find for a candidate. So you no longer need to do that because we have got our fantastic vacancy search. So from the candidate record here, what we can do is go to the three dots or on the ribbon and go to our search option just in here. And then you have the three different search options, but we're focusing on searching for vacancies that there would be suitable for our candidate. Okay, so we're going to launch that out. It works very much the same as the candidate search. It's really trying to help you by putting in as much predefined criteria as it can. So notice already we've got our filter and our search options already have something in them. We have got the job title that the candidate has on their profile. We've got any tags would then come over exactly the same as candidate but reversed because it's now looking for these on the vacancy record. And then we've got a filter. Again, you'll probably know what's coming here. if you're using the search a lot, which is that it's the location is in London, which is where the candidate's based, and 30-mile radius, which you can then play around with that radius or remove that from there. So I have got 2 vacancies here that I could then go and look at. When you first open any search in Mercury, you might find you don't have loads of information in there. So you might think, I'd like to see a little bit more. So it does give you the option and a little direction here to choose columns that you might want to see on that vacancy that would then help you out. I definitely want to see what client that vacancy's with. I might want to go and see the hiring manager, quite important on there. Um, as we're looking for vacancies that are not owned by us, it's really important to know who the owning consultant is of that vacancy, because it may be that you want to reach out to them as well. Let's have a little look. Also, if you're on the kind of contract side, you may want to see the candidate pay, how much they're paying for that particular role. And if you're on the perm side, then you're going to want to see the salaries. Pretty important, because you would have spoken to your candidates, screened them, and asked what they're looking for. So that's going to make a big difference, right? So there's some examples of the columns that you could put in this area. If we go back to the front page of the search, in here, I would start off by just pointing out that if you've got a wonderful AI package, then you will notice that in the job title, you could then choose to load AI, and it will then try and find you similar roles to the one that candidate is currently working. Yeah, so if you had more results, it would then add those into the search. Also, once you've viewed these particular vacancies, which we'll do in a moment, it might be, you're searching on the tag, but what you could decide to do instead to widen it out is then remove the tag and actually put that same tag or keyword in as a keyword, basically, and hit enter. The reason you might want to do this is because then it widens it out. So it's going to look for that thing still as a tag, but also it will search the vacancy record, and it will look inside the fields and look for the word or term that you've added into as a keyword. So now I've doubled the amount of vacancies that are available for my candidate, which gives me more chance of finding something suitable or some options for them. And hopefully, again, you know where I'm going next, guys. I've got in there in my keywords the AI suggestions. So not only have I then doubled my vacancies, but by using the AI in there on the keyword, I've then tripled the amount of vacancies I first started with. So really, we're building up a great opportunity. So once you've done that and you're happy with that, before we go in, I will point out a couple of nice bits actually on the filter, just to point out this could be really important. So if your vacancy works on both, perm, contract, temp, any of those options, it might be quite important to say, actually, my candidate only wants perm. So it's going to narrow that down. So you're really focusing in on the right jobs for them and not wasting your own time, really. You could look at certain vacancy types. These are very specific to your business. So if that does matter to you, you can add those in as well. But ultimately, once you're happy with that, you could then go and view the actual vacancy itself. Okay. So if we go to this, so we've got KPMG vacancy here. Let's take a little look. So my most important thing now is seeing if that job's suitable for my candidate, right? So I would then go and have a little look in the job description, take a look through. Someone's done a good job of this, haven't they? Let's hope you're doing the same thing. And it could be, if this job looks right for my candidate, then I would have an email hopefully in here preset already. So I could copy that out, email to the candidate, and that'll be an intro to that vacancy. If your candidate is interested in this particular role, and say you're actually scrolling through while they're on the phone, what you could then do, if you want to add them to that vacancy, is you could go to the board from here. Check this out. So just a moment, let's take a little moment together as a group here to look at our beautiful new improved version of board view. It's so much nicer. It's got such a nicer layout and feel to it. Colours in there are beautiful as well. Let me know your thoughts on your icons, folks. I hope you're liking it because it just looks so good and gets me and Jackie very excited. So basically, it does, doesn't it?
And sneak peek time number one. As
What?
of this week, there's going to be additional functionality added to this, which I can come back to at the end of the session. But I just wanted to give you a heads up that it might look beautiful and work in exactly the same way as it did originally at the moment, but as of the next few days, you're going to be able to do a lot more in this screen as well. So I'm really excited about it, and so is Michelle. So we
I
can't wait to
am.
tell
I'm
you
trying not
about
to say
it.
what it is. I've seen it as well, and it's just getting better and better, folks.
It
Our
is
devs are doing
brilliant.
an amazing job,
Oh,
honestly.
yeah, they are. Thanks,
They
Michelle.
really are. That's all right. So basically from here, because we've got the little plus button. Notice they're just making things nice and simple and cleaner in here. I could simply go in if they could to this role, click on the plus button, and I could simply go and add my candidate to that particular vacancy on the board view, add him on so that he's now in the shortlist attached to the vacancy, and then I could go ahead and progress him later. Or if it's a different consultant's role, it might be I'm on there as delivery, and it could be the consultant then progresses them through. Okay. Simple as that, folks. So that's a vacancy search. So some of you, this may not be appropriate. You may know all your vacancies you're working. It's just to give you ideas for those where it would be useful. So don't forget, you could then surf through at the bottom using the next button in there, so you can go and look through the different vacancies. Oh, sorry, I'm doing it in board view. Let's do it in here from on view detail. So when you're in the actual vacancy card, you can scroll through, and then you can do the same thing. Take a look at that role, go to board and add that person on if it's the right thing to do in that situation. So that is our vacancy search number one scenario. What I'm going to do is give you a different scenario. So just to get you thinking of working a different way. So let's say I'm working on a role and I have found a couple of decent candidates for that role using my hot list, using the search, using LinkedIn. But actually, I'm looking for some other candidates that would be suitable to send over to the client. Okay. So what I could do is from the contacts area in the menu, this is where we can go and access the search in full. So let's go and access it from here. And in this area, again, you can then access the vacancy search, the candidate search, or the client contact search. So all searches are available in this area. So I'm working on a role that is a project manager role. Let's add that in. So we've got 100 different roles in that particular area that I could go and look for candidates for that are in progress at the moment. Now, important thing to point out, can you see here it says active vacancies? So that's how we know those vacancies are still being worked by the team at the moment. You do have the option to look for inactive vacancies, which we'll mention at the end, or you can look for all. But in this scenario, I really want candidates that are in progress at the moment on these vacancies. Now, if I was looking at other vacancies from other people and I know they're looking at candidates and they're working and trying to find them and putting the work in, what I would want to do is from here, I think it's really important for you, if you're going to do this, to add in the status reason. And the reason for that is because it will let you know where in the progress that vacancy is. So you might think if they're at interview stage on this vacancy, it might be a bit late to start approaching candidates that are working that role because they might be quite far ahead in the process. You don't want to upset anyone at that point. So you might want to avoid vacancies that have got to that point. But if we focus on ones that are required CVs, for example, maybe let's go to this one here. Actually, that one's interview. Let's not go to that one. Let's go to the top one. So view detail here. What I could do is I can then see there's a couple of candidates that are being considered in this vacancy, and they might be quite appropriate for the role that I'm looking at. So from here, if you want to see more information on those candidates to see if they're suitable for you, you could then go to the board. And the amazing thing about the board is that we could then simply click on that candidate's name and it pops out their candidate card. So from here, I'm like, right, let's take a little look at their CV, at their work history, at LinkedIn. And then from here, I can be like, right, do they look appropriate? Now, they do look pretty decent. Now, if internally there are rules for you to then speak to the consultant before you approach that candidate, of course, go ahead and do so. But once you've done that, or if you don't need to, I can simply just call out. I can click on that. If you've got a click to dial functionality or then call the candidate, I can then go and log my phone call and I can simply add that candidate to my vacancy from here. So great way of finding additional candidates that are in play at the moment. just to mention something else, if I close this down for a moment and the board, I would probably filter further. I've gone very light on the filtering, like project management's very, very basic. So I would probably go in with some keywords that they need to have for that industry. And I'd go to the filter and I'd probably put in, if they're on the perm side, the minimum salary they consider maybe. Or you could focus on the salary field if you'd rather sort by that. Or if they're on the contract or temp side, you can put in the minimum pay that they consider. So you're more likely to get more accurate results. You could also, of course, put in the location in here. So we can add in if they're in a certain location. Maybe if it's a contract role, it doesn't actually matter where they're based. So that's optional, of course, down to you. But don't forget to use those filters so you'll get the most appropriate fit for those candidates for your job. Okay. So that's scenario number 2, folks. So I hope you like it. I hope it's given some ideas.
Yeah, I think it's a really good way of showing the power of it all, and also that interoperability, if that's even the way you say it,
Yeah,
between the different areas. I think it's such a beautiful workflow that you've just demonstrated. So yeah, really well done. Thanks, Michelle.
no problem. And just to mention as well, little thought up here that you might have some decent inactive vacancies that you've worked or in the past. So you might want to look for, let's not go as specific. Let's get rid of that. Let's get rid of me filters. So you might want to go back and look for project manager roles that are inactive. And don't forget from there, you could go and view details. So these are roles that have been closed. And you could go and look at candidates in there and consider those maybe for the role that you're working. So it doesn't have to be just active roles. You could go back to previous roles that are closed and take a look at that shortlist as well.
We've just had a question come up in the chat, Michelle, and I think we
Mm,
can address it now before we move on
yeah.
to the next thing. So someone has asked, can they add filters around status reasons if they don't want to see statuses at offer stage, for example?
Great question, actually. So currently, that is not a filter that's in there. We've only got at the moment kind of position type rather than the actual status is in there. But I'm glad that you asked that, whoever asked that. Thank you for the question, because something I'd like to mention is this search is very new. And you might have noticed that we're spending a lot of time on candidate search at the moment, building out things like the candidate card and the board view, things linked like that. So we haven't spent as much time on the vacancy search and what we're really looking for specifically after this. Please get practicing and searching in here. We're looking for customer feedback. So if that's one thing that you want, if you could raise that to your customer success manager or raise it as a product improvement, so we could then look at adding that in, I think that's a brilliant idea. Because I think it's
We
so
will,
good to just
yeah,
exclude that off. That'd be great.
it makes a lot of sense, and we will
Yeah,
share that afterwards with the team as well, so that they're aware of that. I think it is a really good product enhancement
yeah,
that we could do.
yeah. I totally agree with that as well. Getting rid of kind of shortlist and like interview and offer, you kind of want them out, don't you? So yeah, brilliant idea. So any other questions at the moment, Jackie, for that? Or okay, fabulous. Right, let's move on. So if I close that down, where we're going next is we are going into candidate search. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to a vacancy that I'm working at the moment. So let's go for where is my vacancy? One sec, folks. Gonna have a little search for it. Let's see this here. Guess what? Project manager role. Bet you would have known. There we go. Let's go and find one in there. So that's a bit better. Right, fab. We'll go with this one here. So again, got a couple of candidates that I found for this role that look really good, but I want to go and find a few extra candidates. Okay. So at the moment, I'm sure that everyone on this call, or most people on this call, will be aware that from the vacancy you can run a search for candidates. I hope that's something you know. If you don't, now you do. And what will happen is, again, Mercury does such a good job with the search. We're trying to help build that search out for you. So the reason we've got a certain amount of results right now is because it's put in, again, the job title. It would put in any tags if there were any on that vacancy. So make sure you're putting those tags in. And it's also put in the location as well. So I'm just pointing out the things that it's done right now. Now, at this point, again, if you've got the AI package, you can start using the AI suggestions. So we've got 35 results. But now, if we use AI on the job title, we can see, well, we'll see. Is it going to make a difference? So it's going to build an OR logic for us for that project manager or program manager or scrum master, etc. And you can choose to take any out that you think aren't appropriate, but you can see how much it's enhanced our results just on that basic AI that we've got in the system. Now, I say basic, there's nothing basic about it, but the reason I'm saying it like that is because I've got something to show you. I'm very, very excited to do so as well. So I'm not going to focus on building up the search we've got. This is what we showed you in the last webinar. So feel free to go back and look at that. What I'm going to show you is we're going to clear everything. You might think, well, what is she doing? She lost her mind. But it's because we have got a brand new feature, which some of you may have seen with Jackie's amazing video that she put out. Is it this week, Jackie? I think it was this last week, this week.
Last week, I think it was. Yes,
Yeah,
it was last week.
yeah, exactly. And so you might be joining this webinar just to see this in action. That's what I think. So you can see if you click on this, this is called Search Assistant. And where else would you need an assistant more than in the search? So we're going to click on that right now. Now, the reason we're so excited about this is that we have already got like amazing AI running throughout the system, which I'm sure you and your teams are making the most of already in areas like, building your vacancy adverts for you, building things like Q&A for you, that type of thing. But this is our first interactive AI search chat where you can actually be conversing and using it like we all do day to day. Don't pretend you don't, folks. We know you do out in the AI world. So we can use this to then go and build searches for us. Now, just to be really clear, the AI search assistant is only in candidate search right now. So I'm sure it will come soon in the future, but we're working on it in here and looking for feedback in it in here. There's no way everyone's going to use it, right? Whether you're an experienced recruiter, whether you're a junior recruiter, whether you're new to industry, you're bound to be using it. So what I want to do is give a couple of scenarios on when you'd use it, whether you're experienced and it's going to help build it, or whether you're brand new to industry or may need a bit of a hand there. So, are you ready, folks? What we're going to do is, why waste time using our fingers when we don't have to? We're going to use a voice dictation. So let's do that. I'm looking for a project manager that works in finance. So I know that's what I'm looking for, PM in that industry. Awesome. I'm now going to add in the skills that I'm looking for. Now, before I do, check this out, look. So just to be clear again, what it builds in the AI search assistant at the moment is it will put in job titles, it will put in keywords, and it will also put in employer information. Okay, so it doesn't put anything else in at the moment, no filters. That's all for you to do manually to add on top of it. It's very much about the things inside search. It does everything except for tags at the moment, but just to remind you that keywords also searches through tags as well. So it is inclusive of everything. So check this out. I've got project manager as a job title. I've got finance as a keyword. And can you see that little star? Just before that, that's telling us that if I ever went back to this search, I would know that was built using the AI and not by me manually adding those things in. So it gives that really clear distinction to us when we go in. I reckon we should put a few skills in, folks. Let's do it. So I need someone with the skills of budgeting, risk management, or financial analysis. Let's see what we get. So you can see again, they've all been added in as keywords, all the three things I've mentioned in that search assistant. Now I
Michelle,
do
do you
want
mind
to,
if, sorry, I was just going to say, do you
no,
mind
go
if I
on,
say something about those, the AI suggestions? So
of course not.
what I really like about the AI suggestions is it will bring back up to 10 results for each of those items. And of course, as Michelle said, you can deselect and select them as you see fit.
Yep,
But what I like about them is that you can trust that they're always going to be up to date. So the
yeah,
example that I used in the video that I shared earlier last week was if a product manager was suddenly called a product guru and
yeah.
the product manager name went out of fashion, it would pick that up as a new title. So it really does help with that upskilling, as well as even your most experienced recruiters may not know the exact terminology for some new technology because let's face
Mm.
it, things are changing really quick. This keeps up to date. So no matter how skilled you are, you're going to get a benefit from that.
100%. Thanks, Jackie. And also, you're so right. It actually builds the AI in for you on the left-hand side, doesn't it? So you're not having to then, use the search assistant. It puts it in, and then you have to go and click each time and load it. It's doing that preload for you. So yeah, nice shout. Good one. Thank you. Cool. Okay. I'm going to move on. So let's say I like candidates that have worked for Morgan Stanley. So again, popping that in as someone that's worked there as the employee, as being employed by Morgan Stanley at some point. Again, as Jackie mentioned, I'll actually point it out, it's really good here. It's also looking for candidates that have worked at very similar companies. And again, you can remove those out. Now, you could leave it there, but if you wanted to, you could also say something like, can you also find candidates that have worked for similar companies to Morgan Stanley? So you might think, well, I've used the AI boost and I've got it in there. So I already do have some decent people, which I do. But potentially, so even though that was a great AI feature, it's brought my results up. So it can still choose because it might find a different company and then use the AI on that company, which widens it out to something else that you haven't thought of. So you can just keep building and building on it.
Yeah, and I think that's really good as well, because you're then finding candidates who could be completely suitable but just don't have that terminology that they've used specifically. So I
Yeah.
think you find that's what I was talking about with that deeper level of searching. You find those candidates who haven't got that exact match in whatever that it's being searched on, but they've got relevant experience, so they might be just the person that you're looking for. Michelle, we've had another
Yeah.
question come through. Is now an
Of
okay
course.
time to say that?
Yeah, always.
So we've had somebody asking if we can take some other skills like developer or analyst and see the results we get there.
Yeah, sure, that's fine. What I'll do is actually, I'm at a good point to finish this one, so that is fine. So
Thank you.
I will clear that off. No, it's fine. So did we say developer or analyst? Was that the example? Excellent. I can do that just for you guys. So what I'm going to do is I am going to actually, it's good to see that, by the way, that when you start a chat, you can also remove and start it again. Because sometimes you'll kind of start it, go, actually, I kind of want to start that again. So it clears everything out. So what we'll do in this scenario is start again. I'm looking for a candidate that has been a developer or an analyst. There you go. So it's going to put it in. It knows it's a job title, so it's put it both in as job titles in there. By the way, a big part of this is understanding how the edit structure works and how the information is structured in here. So I know, and some of you may know already, that job title always builds in OR logic. Okay, so that will already be developer, and it will find you've got similar roles to developer, so it's finding developer or, and then we've got or an analyst, and then it builds up the additional or with all of those in there as well. Okay. Awesome. Okay. Any other questions? No? All right. Then we'll move on to my next example, just to show you a little bit of a different angle in there. So let's go with, I'm not quite as experienced. You saw with my first one, I knew Morgan Stanley. I know what they need to work in finance if they're a PM. But actually, what if I'm not really sure? So then I might be having a bit more of a chat with the AI. So let's go with, I'm looking for a project manager in software. So I'm confident with the basics. Yeah, I know the job title, I know the industry, so that's awesome. Let's go those basics in. So we've got a job title with similar roles as well. Perfect. And then we've got software or application development or software development. So again, you can remove or keep those in. Now I know that PMs, I could Google this, of course. I know that project managers need to work certain systems to keep the project in line, but I'm not really sure what they're called. So I could say something like, I need to show systems that project managers would use to manage the projects. I'm unsure what they're called. Can you help? So it said to me, commonly uses the things like Jira, Trello, MS Projects. And I'm like, okay, some of those sound familiar. Of course, you could still Google out, but I'm trusting that sounds good. So it's saying Would you like me to add any of these to the search? And I just say, yes, please. You don't have to be as polite as me, by the way. Yes, we'll do. But yeah, so basically,
I'm always polite to AI.
me too. I'd say it's a sensible choice, folks, for the
Yeah.
future. Um, so you can see I didn't know any of that, and it's helping build it up for me. So I'm like, awesome. So it's put all of those in as keywords in there. And again, it will start building out other suggestions and other tools. And notice they've all got slightly different things that they're adding in there. So it's really building up for us. Now, then I'm thinking, let's say something like, can you show employers that are well known in the software industry? Let's see how it does with that one.
This is one of my favourite things, I think, because businesses come and go all the time. So keeping this up to date is really, really important, I think.
100%, exactly that. And obviously, I'm just going very generic with kind of software, people
Yeah,
in software, which we probably know those people anyway, or some of them. But actually, you might be like in recruitment software, in finance software, in accounting software, and they're the
yeah.
things that you may not know as in each. I'm just going generic to make it simple. So we now know that under employer, oh, they've gone for it, haven't they? So basically, you've got in there all of Microsoft, Google, probably would have known some of these, never heard of Meta, might know Oracle, but wouldn't have thought of it actually. So really good it's built in there for me. So that's how good this is. So please get into it, have a go with it. Of course, you can still build your own searches if you're confident with that. And sometimes you might need a more basic search. So you're happy with that search criteria. But this is how you can work with the AI for it to build that search for you. By the way, you'll notice I've only got one result, so you might think, why is that? Let's be clear on this. Now, I've got all this amazing search in here, but again, it's back to that edit structure. Now, keywords build as an and. That's probably why that's going to be. Because they're unlikely to have experience in all of those individual systems, this and this and this. So basically, if we edit the structure now, first of all, I'm going to remove my little microphone and I'm going to minimize our search assistant. I'm going to go to edit structure. There we go. And then now one thing we've got to think about is you might have a mixture of industries and skills in there, or industries and CRMs I've got. So I've got software, which I want as a standalone thing, and it to be and one of these things. So bear that in mind. I wouldn't want to just change that to all, because it would be one of these systems or software. I'm like, no, I want it to definitely be them working in software. So you can either drag this into its complete own group, so software is completely separate, or you can actually group it, do it as a little subgroup in here in search one, which would, let's try that. There we go. So what that means is because it's part of that one group, it means software. So let's do this like this. So with one of these systems, you change this to an all. Yeah. So we want someone that's worked with Jira or Trello, etc., and they work in software. So they must meet this and one of these in that criteria in that first area. So subgroups are really helpful as well. And they've been a project manager and they have worked for one of, notice these are all logics, these employers. Okay, so now we've got a much bigger set of results. Then you might think, oh, I've got too many results. It's always one or the other, isn't it? So basically, this is what your filters are for, and the filters are amazing in here. So where I would go is depending what you're doing, role type is a biggie. Yeah, so you might just say I'm looking for people that are perm focused. But I'm going to show you one that's really smart. So you could go, I want candidates as a business we've considered before for a previous vacancy. And in that vacancy, they got to either CV sent. You see what I mean? You can get to people that got to submitted in the past, or they got to an interview first. They've got to be pretty decent, right? If you've got to this stage in the past. So I'm going to go for submitted. Watch out for this, by the way. This can get you. It always defaults to in the last day. You probably want to go further than a day. I sometimes forget and go, why have I got no results suddenly? But if I go in the last 1 year, so I've now got 61 results, which is absolutely perfect based on the AI that I've used. And also, I've said I want candidates that we've got to submitted stage because I know they're going to be pretty decent. So I've got a decent caliber of candidate. Happy with that now. So what I can start doing is then running through those results. Okay, so we can start working through. Any questions?
Yes, we've got one that someone has asked if they can see what the AI suggestions are for software. They want to see if it includes SaaS. Now, I don't know
Ooh.
whether, because we're on our demo system, I don't know if that has any effect on what the results might be, for example, but we're happy to
Mm.
give it a go.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, if you don't mind, because just because of what I'm doing, I'm in a flow, I'll do that at the end. So does that
Okay.
person want me to put in SAS specifically?
They want to see suggestions for software and see if SaaS comes up as a result.
Yeah, that's totally fair. Let's do that
Yeah,
at the end. I'll make a little note and remind me if I go off on one. You know what I'm like.
yeah,
So
we'll do. We'll do. I'll make a note of
thanks,
that.
folks. Only because I've got such a perfect set of results. I don't want to mess them up right now, but we'll come back.
Absolutely.
All right, fabulous. So basically at this point, you could save your search. So if you're really happy with that query, you could go and save that query. So you can come back to save queries here. You'd write the name of the search and it saves it. And that saved search will then land in your manage save queries. Yes, you can come back to it whenever you want. Now, where I'm going to move to next is I want to start going through those 61 people. So I'm going to use the expand option over here, and it's just going to go and collapse everything else so I can really focus on those results in here. Okay. So from here, by the way, you can move this little thing around. How clever are dev team? It's not stuck in one place. Basically, we're in the tile view right now. As you can see, it's tiles with my results. What they've done is they've really enhanced this area. So if you now click onto a tile, you'll notice you get so much more information about the candidate than you used to. Excuse me. So you've got where they're based, you've got available from, you've got contacted, so last contacted in here. And then you've got the work history at a glance. You've got their self-summary, so the personal statement on their CV. You've got their status, their off-limits reason, when they last sent a CV, and salary or rate information as well. So amazing. They've made such a difference in this area. I believe there's still some work that they're going to do in here. So we've got enhancement coming soon, I think, as well. Is that right?
We have indeed. Yes.
Not going to do any spoilers, don't you worry.
Not doing any
Just
no,
saying,
no,
guys.
no spoilers yet, but yeah, this is an area that we're constantly enhancing. So
Yeah,
yeah, this is phase one. Phase two is coming up.
100%. So watch out for that. So if we go to then view details, so we're looking into our candidate card. Another thing that we've done, which you may or may not have spotted or seen information on, which is makes a massive, massive difference, is if I'm now working through these 61 candidates, I'm going to jump in and want to kind of make a judgment as quick as I can, as if there's someone I'm going to call. As Jackie said, the idea of the candidate card is to give you as much information for you to make that decision. That I can't think of anything that's not in here at the moment. I shouldn't have said that, should I? Someone's going to say something. But basically, you've got the work history. You've got, and notice it's then showing all the highlights of the text you put in the keywords and the job title. Can you see they're all listing and they're highlighted in the work history? They'll also be highlighted in the CV text as well, and you've got access to the CV and LinkedIn. So you've got everything you need to make a decision on that candidate, as well as if they've got an off limits at the top. So maybe there's someone you shouldn't contact, and then you can check the timeline. So everything's there. Now, from there, once you've then decided to call or not, you can then add what a build up to that was, wasn't it? That adding a flag. So basically, you can add a flag in the candidate card. So you can make your decision. So, yeah, that person, I've spoken to them. They're really good. I want to put them forward. They're interested. So I'm going to say yes. So I'm adding that flag in here. And as you're then surfing through, you're very much going to do the same thing. We're going to say no experience for that role. So they're not quite right. And this makes a massive difference in here. So we're going to say no.
You love a
Um,
flag, don't you, Michelle?
I'm obviously obsessed with flags because, to be honest, that's the only reason I only ever search from vacancy. Because in the general candidate search, you can't add a flag, and I think if I go back to that search in a day's time, how do I know which candidates I've reviewed? How do
Mm.
I know what I thought of them? So for me, the flag is a marker, and it's just everything really. So yeah, feedback on flags, guys, they're awesome. So let's just put a couple more in. I know you know how to add a flag by now, but there is a reason I'm going for it here. You'll see in a sec. So once you've done that, I'm just going to close down this area for now. I want to make a point that if I go and open up this area and go back to our awesome filters, that you can filter by flags. So I would recommend you having a flag that's left message. So as you're calling through, if you haven't caught hold of someone, you put left message in here. So when you jump back in, you're like, I need to call back those 4 people. And then I could go into the flags and I could select left message. And that would literally, I could open my search up, sorry, from here. And then basically filter by the flag and then just find the people with that particular flag, basically.
And you can set your own flags, Michelle?
You can set your own flags. Yeah, it used to be a limit of 10, but now there is not that limit anymore. Your system administrators, your ends can choose what the flags are. You can note, you might have noticed you can have a word, couple of words, you can have an emoji in there. We used to have diamond in there, little diamond, love that one. So you can put in what you want. Yeah, definitely can. Awesome. So that's just to show you can search on those flags, but you can see the flags, but you can also use them in the filter, which makes them much more powerful. Okay. Beautiful. Okay, where are we going next? So, one thing I've got to mention, or Jackie's going to tell me off because she loves this. So basically up in here where your name is, you have got AI settings up here, brand new. You're going to love this if you work kind of across the globe or across the Europe, for example. So what you can do is when you're searching for keywords, you're going to be searching for that word in whatever language you speak in, right? So I'm English, so I'm going to put in project manager and agile. But what if I wanted to go and search for German candidates? They're going to have the German version on their CV. They're not going to have the English version. So I'm going to have to then type in, do you know what I mean, the next version and add that in as German. And it could be also I'm considering French candidates. So I'm going to have to add it in French as well. No longer do you need to do that, folks, because you can type in and add up to 3 different languages in there. And as you're using the AI on the keywords and the AI suggestions, it will also find those terms in those other 3 languages for you. So for you out there that are working different markets, that's going to save you so much time. So yeah, a brilliant enhancement in the search.
Yeah, we love that one. And also, while you're there, Michelle, can you just show the what's new button?
Yes, certainly can. There you go. So
Thank you
at the
very
top there,
much.
that's all right. What is new? You should probably know.
Well,
Joking.
as of tomorrow, there is some new stuff, but we'll come to that in a second.
Can't keep up, folks. Our dev team are working. I don't know how they're doing it all, to be honest. So yeah, you'll
They're
always see
amazing.
there's the releases in here, because it comes out every 2 weeks. So you'll see it'll say exactly what is in there. So I'd recommend everybody going back if you're not on top of this and just checking the last few handful in there and make sure you're up to date with what's new because they are awesome. So
Yeah, brilliant. Thank you, Michelle.
no problem at all. Okay, I'm just going to see if there's anything else to cover. Oh, I know. I know what I'm going to do. So I'll tell you what, before I show my last little party trick here, I am going to go and show what we were asked to show just now. So I'm going to go and expand everything. Let's clear and start again, because I've got to do that anyway. And what were we putting in? Were we putting in software in as a keyword? Is
Yes, I believe
that what it
so.
was?
Yeah,
Let's give
to
it a go.
see
Oh,
what comes
yeah,
up
yeah.
if SAS comes up.
Yeah,
Give you
fabulous. And don't forget,
suggestions.
it does change and it will be dependent on your system data, which is what Jackie was saying earlier. So let's have a look. What we got? So it hasn't done it in this particular example, but it may be dependent. We haven't got the best data. It's a demo system and we've got specific data in, hence us using certain examples. But definitely give it a go in your system. I'd recommend that and it might give you quite different results.
Yeah,
So,
that's brilliant. Thank you. We've
no
got
worries.
another quick question. Do you want to do
Yeah,
your last thing first, or do you want the
yeah.
question?
Let's do it. Let's just do the last thing. So I'm going to
Okay.
just show you this. So in the filter, what I want to show you is I'm now in the vacant in the search. There's no criteria. What you can go and do is you can you see under vacancy? Do a little click there. And the vacancy you're actually launching the search from is sitting there, kind of ready for you. It's like more of a little wave, like if you need it, I'm here. And if you want to, if you add it in, then what it will show you is it will show you every candidate that you've got in progress. That will include people that are shortlisted or applicants. So where I'm going with this is if you work with applicants, this is what I'd be doing, is I would just, especially if you've got big numbers that are coming in, you're like, right, I've got 150 people, 200 plus people, launch it, launch a search, clear the criteria, add the vacancy in, and then basically add any search terms you want to, like a keyword in there, maybe a job title, maybe a location. And then with your applicants that are left, so you just want to focus on applicants, for example, then you can go to view detail So again, we'll go back to our candidate card. We know all what's in here now, but this is the big one. So again, I might call the candidate, etc. But you've got applications. So you can see this is my vacancy, and I could choose to then progress them. So I'm not only seeing them all in one list from the search that I can then narrow down by criteria, but I can then scroll through them, surf through, call through, make my decision. If you mark them as suitable, they'll go on the shortlist anyway, and the others have all been marked appropriately. So yeah, just a little
I
option
think
there.
that is just brilliant, Michelle. Thank you so much.
That's
So
okay.
we are overrunning by a couple of minutes
Yep.
because I think there's just a lot to talk about. So if you do need to leave, please feel free to. We'll be sending the recording out after this session. But for those of you who can stay, we've got a couple of more things to show you. So Michelle, first of all, the question that we've got is,
Yep.
does a candidate search from a specific vacancy remove candidates that are already included in that vacancy shortlist?
Oh, hang on. I need that one again. So hang on. So this is about, say that again, Jax.
Candidates search from a specific vacancy. Does that remove candidates that are already included in that vacancy shortlist?
Ah, true. Good question. Actually, it doesn't. I think we've seen that in the past that they'll already be still on. It'll still show those vacancies as well.
Yeah, yeah,
Good question.
that's
Yeah, yeah.
that's what I think as well.
Yeah,
Cool.
that's correct. Yeah.
Okay then, guys. So I'm gonna, Michelle, that was absolutely a masterclass. I told you guys it was going to be good, and I thought it was
Thank you.
perfect. So thank you so much for that. I am going to steal a tiny bit of your thunder now, though, because I want to share with the guys some sneak previews of what's coming up in Search very, very soon, and tangentially aligned with Search with the shortlist board updates. So we have got, oh, bear with me a second, my screen's decided to go funny, so just give me 1 second. Oh no, it's not doing it. So there is a range of new features that are coming to the shortlist board in the next few days. The first one being that you can search, which is fantastic. It's a really, really good feature, that is. You can then also group things, you can expand tiles, you can reduce tiles. There is so much that you will be able to do with this, and it's going to be fantastic. As I say, that's coming out in the next few days, so look forward to that. The other sneak peek I have for you, does this, I think it's almost drumroll worthy. We have got a brand new look to the candidate and client contact card, which is beautiful. And I'm sure those of you who have just been giving all the hearts to the shortlist board will agree that it looks fantastic as well. It's still got all of that information that is on the candidate card for you. It's just presented in a much easier to digest way. And this is really a kind of stake in the ground for what we're doing. We're really looking at improving the user experience of Mercury. It has so many features, so many functions, and sometimes it can be difficult to know which ones to use. So we're really trying to make that as easy as possible for you guys to get the most out of it that you possibly can. And this is exactly the way that we're going with this. So stay tuned for more information about those particular updates, but if you see them in your environment, they'll be very, very shortly deployed to you. Okay, so last but not least, just to say how you can keep up to date, we have an amazing knowledge base which is kept up to date with incredible amounts of information telling you exactly how to get the most out of your Mercury experience. We have a fabulous community managed by the lovely Tony, who this is just full of information, not just from us at Mercury, but also your peers. So you can really learn how other people are using Mercury. You can join things like private preview groups and all sorts of fantastic ways to get in contact with those. And you can also subscribe to this webinar series so you can never miss one of these special sessions that we hold for our customers. We love having you here, and if you subscribe to those, even if you can't make it, you'll then get the recording sent to you afterwards. That's it. But Michelle, last breaking question for you before we all go. What
Cool.
is the difference between timeline and notes?
Oh, okay, so the timeline will show the actual activity, which includes phone calls, appointments, updates, and emails. The notes are specifically in that area, just notes that you can write in. So you know you've got the option to add a note. It
Yeah,
will just show the notes in there and it separates that from the activity.
fantastic. Thank you very much. Okay then everyone, I hope you enjoyed that as much as I did. I thought it was a really good presentation. Thank you very much for your feedback everyone. Look forward to seeing you on the next one of these, and please do feedback to us your
Mm.
experiences of using search, where you think we can make further enhancements. We love to hear from you. So stay in touch and we'll see you very soon. Take care everyone. Bye bye.
Thanks, guys.